Hi everybody, it's me again. It looks like we have yet another video to analyze. Oh, this is gonna be exciting, because this time it's not a commercial. It's a music video by a band called Bump of Chicken. The video contains a bunch of the stuff that we already covered in the Zorro and Nami commercials. Thank you for watching those, by the way. So I won't be talking about those references all over again. So just letting you know right now, I will only cover the new things in this music video. Before you start telling me about things that I missed, please know that I most likely already talked about all of those things in these two other videos, so feel free to go watch those if you want. But yeah, I really don't have a whole lot left to say. I already saw the music video before making this, and my god, it is a barrage of a bunch of stuff. The animation is beautifully made, by the way. It is incredible to see just in normal time, but of course I went frame by frame to see all of the references possible, and here's everything that I could find. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump into it, you know? The video starts with clips from the Zorro and Nami commercials that we covered previously, but things quickly start to change as we get a visual roll call of all of the Straw Hat Pirates. We get the typical One Piece logo with the straw hat flying around in the air, and I think we all know what that is. I don't have to explain what the straw hat is. We get more clips of the previous commercials, and we get our first shot that's new of Sanji with not a cigarette, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Then we cut to Usopp with his pirate flag and his signature slingshot, pre-time skip. From there, we immediately get to Tony Chopper, featuring his signature hat and the sakura petals from where he's from. And then we have Robin with her multiple hands sprouting out like flowers, and then we have papers and books to show off how she really likes to read books and study up on stuff, and also her devil fruit power. And now we have Frankie. I'm telling you guys, this music video goes by really fast. It's a bombardment of references. We have Frankie waiting in front of a train, an obvious reference to Water 7 and the Sea Train. Now here, Frankie doesn't have a metal nose, but he does have a band-aid on his nose, referencing the damage that he took trying to stop the Sea Train during his flashback. Also the hammer hitting the nails because, you know, he is the shipwright of the Straw Hat Pirates. After that, we have Brook with his dark glasses, musical notes spiraling around, and we see him playing his violin in his human form. Nothing much here, just cool to see him. Finally, there's Luffy, whose face we never see in this video for some reason. Now we get to some meatier stuff. We get a shot of Luffy chasing after Shanks, wearing the straw hat, and Lucky Roo riding the bike. And then we get a recreation of that iconic scene where Shanks gives Luffy the straw hat. An interesting thing here is that Shanks doesn't have a missing arm, but rather just a broken arm. After Luffy, we have Zorro with shots of her old friend Quina, and a lot of the same stuff we already saw in the Zorro commercial. One new thing here is a hawk passing by Zorro, which could be a reference to Hawkeye's Mihawk. This bird is noticeably different to the other bird we always see that resembles Pell. Then we see Luffy recruiting Zorro and his little group of friends already wearing the straw hat. And now we move on to Usopp, who is showing his ultimate attack, the Usopp Rubber Band. We see cards with devil fruits on them to transition into Usopp playing cards with his old friends from Zerep Village, who are also the former members of the Usopp Pirates. And then a beetle in his hand flies away, a reference to Heraklesen, as we transition into Usopp wearing the Sogeking mask, and he then uses it on what seems like a summer festival, considering what the kids are wearing and the candy apple. These are all typical things to a Japanese summer festival. We can then see Usopp shooting a can with Chu's face on it, a member of the Arlong Pirates, who is also the guy that gets utterly defeated by Usopp in that same arc. So Usopp shooting a can with his face on it is a reference to that fight. One small detail about the Sogeking mask is that this version of the mask already comes with a bandaged nose, which is different from the original mask that only has a hole in it for Usopp to fit his nose through it. Like a weird, strange glory hole. The bandages are of course a reference to all the damage Usopp takes during the Water 7 arc, where he gets beaten up by Frankie's men and has the fight with Luffy afterward. The next transition is of a backpack closing and Usopp carrying said giant backpack. This is of course a callback to when Usopp decides to take to the sea and carries a whole bunch of stuff with him, with Luffy calling out to him to make him part of the crew. Next we have Nami, and if you saw her Cup Noodles commercial, then you'll see a lot of the same things here too. There are a couple of new things in here that are nice touches though, like the New World lock pose that Nami wears after the time skip to be able to travel around the New World. There's also a shot of Nami talking to Luffy in a similar fashion to how they first meet very early on in the series. We can also see a shot of Nami riding on a little scooter, which could be a reference to how Nami was riding the Waver back in Sky Island. We also see her with an umbrella and wearing the lock pose, which is a little odd since it seems to be a pre-time skip Nami wearing a log pose for the New World. But whatever, this is just a really cool shot. Most of these shots, you can kind of just take a screenshot of them and turn them into a desktop wallpaper. They're that good. After that, we see a super brief shot of Nami's house with the tangerine tree next to it before moving to more familiar scenes like Luffy being given the straw hat by Shanks. Here, Shanks seems to have a graduation diploma and now his arm is missing. Then, we have Zorro fighting Mihawk, like in the previous commercial. I forgot to mention back in that first video that Mihawk actually has a really short sword, just like when Mihawk and Zorro first fought in the series, where Mihawk fought with a tiny dagger to win the fight. Next, we see Usopp with a graduation diploma in his arm as he disbands the Usopp Pirates, just like how he did at the end of the Syrup Village arc. We get a shot of Nami getting reprimanded by Arlong with shark teeth biting down as he transitioned to the next part of the video where Luffy decides to help Nami. A lot of the same stuff gets repeated again until we get a new piece of material in Zeph raising Sanji. We can see silverware flying around in the same dish that Sanji made for Gin during the Baratier arc. And speaking of which, there he is, eating the food as Sanji and Luffy watch, just like in the series. Here we can also see Sanji with a lollipop, which starts to give me 4Kids vibes, but I don't think it's a reference to that at all. This is probably more due to the fact that all of the characters here are high school age, so it wouldn't be right to show any of them smoking. It's kind of the same reason for why they censored out Jotaro smoking a cigarette in Stardust Crusaders when they aired JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on television. Wow, a JoJo's reference on a One Piece video. Weird. Moving on, we have Chopper with sakura petals and bandages all around him, which are references to the fact that he's a doctor and comes from Drum Island. We can see some images of Chopper without the hat with an injury, and then we see him eating a loaf of bread, similar to how he started eating said loaf of bread during his flashback in the series. We can see him studying medicine and looking at a sakura tree. If you look at this part frame by frame, you can catch some pages flipping showing some mushrooms. One of these mushrooms is the one that Chopper used to save Dr. Hiriluk, which ended up being a poisonous mushroom. And now we transition to Robin, again with more hands and pages referencing her devil fruit power and how much she loves to read. There's also a chalkboard eraser acting as a transition. I could be stretching it, but this could be a reference to how her homeland of Ohara got erased from history when the Buster Call was ordered on her island, leaving her all alone with nothing but her knowledge. After that, we have Frankie hanging out with some planks of wood, which turns into a boat alongside Iceberg and Tom from his Water 7 flashback. We can also see some train tracks on top of the water referencing the tracks the Sea Train uses in the series. We return to Brook in a brief shot of Laboon, and then quickly cut to a super sad scene of Brook with his bandmates, all of them disappearing one by one. If you watch it on the video full speed, it goes by super fast, but when you just watch it frame by frame like how I did, man, that hit me. This was a reference to Brook's backstory where they play one final song, Bink's Sake, before they all start to die to poison one by one. There is a sign that says orchestra on it, and then we see a very cool shot of Brook with a piano and Laboon in the background. Honestly, this is another one of those take a screenshot and have it as your wallpaper kind of stuff. So when that is over, we can see a hand holding a ticket worth 398 yen that goes into a machine that opens a gate. It transitions into Robin apparently traveling somewhere, but is then stopped by the rest of the Straw Hat crew, and Robin starts crying. This is clearly a reference to the iconic scene in Eni's lobby where Robin gets taken away by the CP9, but the Straw Hats follow her to get her back, more commonly known as the I Want to Live scene. However, we very quickly leave that and turn to Sanji with a recreation of his departure from Baratier, where he thanks Zeph for everything that he's done for him. Next, we see Luffy holding up a sakura tree in the exact same stance as in Drum Island, where he protects Hiriluk's flag from getting attacked. Chopper looks on, and then Luffy strikes another pose, which is the moment where Luffy recruits Chopper as a Straw Hat member. It is also one of my personal most favorite parts in the series. And now we're back with Sanji again, and now it includes everyone in the Baratier restaurant. One transition later and we see 3 hats hanging from the wall. These belong to Ace, Sabo, and Luffy respectively. We can also see Ace hanging out with Sabo, which is both a happy and sad thing to see. We already saw this in the Nami commercial, but I think it's cool to see this in more detail. Since we saw it from very far away, I mean, it's barely noticeable. But here we get a good shot of it, since Ace never got to meet Sabo all grown up in the series. In fact, he lived his entire life thinking Sabo was dead, so seeing them reunite in this manner is very heartwarming to see. We get a shot of Whitebeard and Blackbeard again, and we see the swordsman from the Zorro commercial. Oh, and by the way, everyone in the comments of the Zorro analysis kept telling me that this guy was Kinemon. It's not Kinemon, it's Vista. I know that there's Wano stuff happening right now, so that's the guy that's the most fresh in everyone's minds, but there's only one swordsman I know with a mustache like that. We get a shot of my ultimate enemy, math homework, and then transition into a shot of Trafalgar Law holding up some numbers. On the surface, they might seem insignificant, but they do actually mean something. The 56 on the left can be read as Gomu, which references Luffy's devil fruit. With the number 83, I actually wasn't able to find anything about it, so please write me in the comments if you guys know what it means. All I could find is that Brook's bounty is 83 million, but I'm sure there's some pun that Oda wants us to get out of it and I just don't know about it. Anyway, moving on with the video, we see some balls that turn into takoyaki that Hachi and Kami start eating. Then we see a shot of some makeup with a Kamabaka branding on it. The word Kamabaka is a reference to the Kamabaka kingdom where Ivankov comes from, and where Sanji trains during the time skip. Speaking of Okama, we see Bon Clay doing his typical poses. The girls from the Nami commercial follow suit, and then we see a bottle of soap called Khalifa hand soap. This is a reference to the character Khalifa, who has a devil fruit power that lets her fight with soap. We get to see Kobe and Alvida again, Magellan reprimanding Ivankov for writing hee-haw on the chalkboard over there, and we also see a birthday cake in the shape of Mr. 3's candle wax from the Little Garden arc. Next to it, we can see cookies and other snacks, which is a reference to Miss Golden Week, who also ate a lot of snacks and was Mr. 3's partner during the Little Garden arc. Quickly after that, we smoothly transition to Princess Vivi and Crocodile, Moria and Perona. We see Zorro with his diploma, along with Sanji, Robin, and pretty much everybody, including Luffy. What do you know? He finished school. How about that? Anyway, now we see shots of everyone in the Straw Hat crew walking over to meet Luffy on the rooftop. The video begins its final segment with Nami taking pictures of her friends, giving us one final roll call to everybody just a couple more times. We can see the first 5 members of the crew stepping on a circle with the words Grand Line on them, which is a reference to the scene where the crew put their feet on a barrel and established their dream before going to the Grand Line and destroying that poor barrel. What the hell did that barrel do to you, huh? We also get a picture of Usopp and Luffy with bandages and bruises, not really getting along too well. This is of course a reference to that fight during Water 7 where Luffy and Usopp have a duel over the Going Merry. Then we see Chopper feeding a rabbit, which is a reference to those big rabbit things from Drum Island. They even have a big rabbit and a baby rabbit, just like how you see in the series. In before, people say that it's carrot. No, it's not carrot. After that, we have a picture of a bunch of food, but not just any food. From left to right, we have what looks like Luffy's devil fruit, some cup noodles, because of course they have that in there, a bottle of some sort of liquid. I can't really read what that says, but I'm sure it's a reference to something. If you zoom in, you can just barely make out that it says smoothie on that container, which is a reference to the character Smoothie from Whole Cake Island. Next to it, we have a milk carton called Mora no Oishi Milku. This translates to Moda's delicious milk. Now who's Moda? That one girl who slammed Pink Beard in the face in that one episode. You can even see her right there. Look at that, there she is. Right next to the milk, we can see a packaging that says Rumble Ball on it. Obviously a reference to Chopper's Rumble Balls that lets him transform in a fight. And on the very far left, you can catch Luffy and Zoro's names on that piece of paper and a couple of other nice things. Next up, we have 45 degrees, baby. Sanji trying to sweet talk Nami as always, a bottle of cola for Frankie that even has the star that's tattooed on his arms. And speaking of Frankie, we see a picture of Luffy stealing Frankie's Speedo like in the series, where Luffy tries to recruit Frankie into the crew. Now we have another shot where they relax together, Luffy eating cup noodles, because obviously, Nami fixing Luffy's hat that got damaged by Buggy early on in the series, and then Sanji kicking a soccer ball, which is a very light reference to his fighting style where he only uses kicks. After that, we get Luffy seeing Brook play the piano, similar to how he did at the end of Thriller Bark. And then we can see a picture of Laboon and a dial with Bink Sake recorded on it. We're still not done with these pictures. We also have Robin drawing on her notebook. When you get closer, you can notice that she's actually drawing a dirt block from the popular video game Minecraft. Or, you know, it could also be a poneglyph or some, I don't know. Moving forward, we see Zorro and Sanji getting into an argument, which is a reference to pretty much the entire series because they always fight. Next, we have 3 pairs of shoes, all of them with Germa 66 branded onto them. And then we see another heartbreaking picture of Luffy, Sabo, and Ace sharing a drink together, all grown up, similar to how they shared sake when they were kids. And then we see Nami in a swimsuit, which I guess is a reference to how she pretty much wears a swimsuit all the time. And I am not complaining. If anything, this swimsuit is probably the tamest and most reserved one I've ever seen her in. But anyway, moving on, we got Chopper attempting to hide in a similar fashion to how he does in the series. The next shot is out of Boa Hancock trying to give a romantic gift to Luffy, obviously referencing how much Boa Hancock loves Luffy ever since Amazon Lily forward. We cut to Zorro putting on his signature bandana, which is always an indication of him getting serious in a fight. And then another cut to Nami and Robin having a great time drinking boba and shopping at Sabaody Park, a reference to the amusement park in Sabaody Archipelago. Okay, now this one is awesome. We have a tree at the center, which could be the tree of knowledge from Ohara, or just a regular tree, I don't know. But that's not important. Look over here. It's a picture of the Roger Pirates. From left to right, we have Kozuki Oden, still under his silhouette, I might add, even though we already know how he looks like in the manga. We also have Scopper Gaban, Crocus, Shanks, Nekomamushi, Inuarashi, Buggy, Rayleigh, and this guy. Apparently his name is Seagull. Huh, I don't know that. And finally, right at the center, we have the Pirate King himself, Gol D. Roger. After that, we have a paper airplane with 3D2Y on it, the symbol that Luffy communicates to everyone in the crew that starts the time skip. More pictures of the Straw Hats doing their thing, such as Frankie's super pose, Luffy eating the devil fruit, Sanji walking away like in Water 7 when Robin leaves them, Luffy and Usopp getting back together, and finally one last picture of the entire crew. We also get a smaller one in full color. And there you go. That's everything. I gotta say, this music video was beautifully made. The animation is god tier, and it has about as much attention to detail and love into it as the commercials do. There's a lot of material that does get repeated fairly often, but it doesn't really matter to me. Everything fits pretty perfectly together. I think it works just fine. The song itself is also pretty good in here too. But that was all I could find in the music video. If there's anything that I missed, of course, hit me up in the comments. Thank you very much everybody for watching. And if you haven't seen the other two videos where I analyze the commercials, please feel free to do so. Have an awesome day, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.